Last year, I, male 33, stumbled upon messages that revealed my soon-to-be ex-wife, female 30, has been involved with the owner of the company she works at for close to a year, to my knowledge. The affair was both emotional and physical in nature. I found that they had been exchanging flirtatious messages, sending nudes, and planning dates within the company. I confronted her right away, and she broke down and admitted to having sex with him. I was in a state of complete shock for a long time, but somehow managed to function for the sake of our child. 3. She insisted on staying together and working things out, but at the same time did not want to leave her job or cut her boss off, which to me seemed pretty diabolical, and I refused to stay married any longer. I left her a note and asked her to leave before I went to work. When I got home, she was gone. The thought of our family breaking apart terrifies me, but we're both exhausted from all the conversations, and I do not believe we can work this out even for the sake of our child. I thought she had moved in with her parents, but last week I heard she was put in a hotel by her boss, and he frequents the hotel. So she's basically a kept woman now. Her boss is married with adult children and seems to have a reputation for doing this before. My soon-to-be ex is fairly intelligent, so I do not understand why she set herself up to be used like this. The divorce is happening via mediation and would be wrapped up soon. However, recently my lawyer suggested that I file an alienation of affection lawsuit against the AP. My lawyer dug into the statutes and discovered some legal angles I could exploit, but I'm not sure if I should proceed with it. I do not want to complicate things any more than they already are, plus I still look forward to a healthy co-parenting relationship with my soon-to-be ex even after the divorce. Would this lawsuit ruin everything? Update. Last week, the alienation of affection lawsuit was set in motion and AP was served at his office. The lawsuit is for $2 million, which would cause a serious dent in AP's and his company's finances, but nevertheless, they will survive, quite easily. My lawyer says it's an open and shut case basically in my favor. It almost sounds too good to be true, but I'll take whatever money comes my way if it means securing my son's future. My soon-to-be ex called me to yell at me. Her perfect life was no more, where she got to live in a nice hotel doing nothing but screwing her boss. Her boss has stopped paying for the hotel and ordered she not show her face around his company anymore. AP is currently in a frenzy trying to salvage his company, and it's likely he'll get voted off the board so he'll no longer be the chair, which will mean he'll need to sell his house plus his shares of the company to come up with the money if he were to lose the lawsuit. She told me I was too cruel for my own good. Whatever. Eventually, she showed up at my door, asking for forgiveness and a second chance. Apparently, for us to reconcile, I would have to retract my lawsuit. I told her to get bent. She was still trying to save her AP's ass. I'm tired of all this. My son is not doing good. He constantly asks for his mommy, and I've tried to arrange for her to visit him, but she's not interested. The two of us are moving to a smaller apartment since I can no longer afford the rent, plus lawyer fees on my own. It's a pretty depressing update in a way. I'd appreciate some advice, and support as well. Thank you. Now for some comments. I'm sorry you're going through this. It sounds like you're handling an incredibly difficult situation with strength and grace, especially considering your son's well-being. Your wife is one loathsome creature. So is the AP. I was afraid after your first post that you might back out of filing the lawsuit against AP, but I'm glad you went ahead. The lawsuit's a way to hold the AP accountable and ensure that you and your son are financially secure. It's unfair that she's choosing to prioritize her relationship with her boss over her duties as a mother. Stay strong, and remember that taking care of yourself and your son is the most important thing right now. Maybe instead of suing her boss, you should consider how both of you contributed to the breakdown of your marriage. You're using the legal system for revenge, which won't help anyone in the long run, especially your child. Your wife clearly wants to move on with her life, but you're just holding her back. Story 2. Finding all this out really came as a shock to me. We've been together for 14 years, married for 10, and have 2 children, 6 and 4. The last thing I ever expected was to find out she was having an affair or would cheat on me. It started out about a year ago. We became friends with a couple who had similar age children as us, lived close, and we all got along really well. We started hanging out, watching each other's kids, going out as a group quite a bit. Over the coming months, my wife and the husband, as they are the primary caregivers to the children, while I and the other wife work more hours, started to become closer. They clearly had similar personalities and could just talk and get along. I didn't see a lot of this since it all happened when I was away and they were doing mutual kid stuff together. I wasn't too worried about it though. I trusted my wife. I never had any reason to doubt her. She always had guy friends throughout our whole relationship. We went on a family trip in July, and during the trip, my wife told me the other wife discovered her in his text thread on his phone and it greatly upset her. She told me it was a large quantity, but nothing inappropriate. There was one time I said, "I love you," like a joke, but it's all just friendly, I was told. She kind of offered to show me the texts, but in a "you don't want to see the texts, do you?" kind of way. I had no reason not to trust her at this point, and I was like, "Nah, it's cool. You have guy friends, no big." When we got back, I started getting anxious. I don't know why. I just started to feel insecure. I noticed the sex toy pouch was moving around. The two of them were spending more time together. He had a week off work for the holiday, with the kids on summer vacation, and I was working all the time to make up for the trip. As I got more anxious, the texts kept coming up, and it turned into, "You can't look at the texts, that's an invasion of my privacy." I felt like I was going crazy. Why was I so insecure? Why can't I trust her? Why am I constantly checking Find Your Friends and the Nest cams in the house now? Before my next guy trip in July, I talked to the wife, who I work with, but she's not a doctor, about the texts. I started to learn more of the details. There was not just, "I love you," but many. Good night, good morning, almost every day. Pet names, etc. I was pretty crushed. A week earlier, my wife made out with me in her sleep and said, "I love you," pet name, and then fell back asleep. I was confused. I asked her, she said I was pet name, but after I learned the truth, I clearly wasn't. I talked to my wife about these details the next day. She said she was so depressed, so sad, and so upset with how I'd been treating her the last few years, she almost left me. And he talked her out of it. I talked to him for a while too. I told them I'm okay with them communicating, but the "I love yous" and pet names need to stop. They agreed, apologized, and he said he was going to back off too. 3 weeks later, I get a call. She needs to tell me something. The other wife looked at the phone logs, and the two of them, no longer texting, have now been talking for hours a day. 40 minutes at 4 a.m. on his way to work. 1.5 hours at night, 20 to 40 minutes during lunch. Every day. Always when I'm at work. I leave for overnight at 9, 1.5 hour call. If I'm home at night, no call, but call at 4 a.m. literally every day. I was crushed, betrayed. She lied. Like, directly lied. We started going to couples therapy finally. She assured me and the therapist that they had no more communication. It was over, and she was working to rebuild trust so we, as families, could be friends again and the kids could have their friends back. Well, a month goes by, and one morning on the Nest cam, I saw my wife taking a workout selfie, but with a sexual kind of pose. Later that night, I'm able to get on her computer and find her photo stream and find they've been sexting. No true nudity, but sensual pictures, sexy poses, underwear pics, sensual smiles I've never seen before, going back until August. Also, there are a ton of inspirational quotes about finding your second love, not being able to be with the one you love due to outside circumstances, being with someone who loves you for who you are and not what they want you to be. I told the other wife. Me and my wife talked. They were using a secret messaging app since before our trip with the big fight, but there was nothing physical, I was assured. How will this time be different? I ask over the next few days. I can't hurt you again. I can't keep lying to you. I find out that she told him she wanted to run away with him in 5 years when the kids are older, or 20 years if she has to. I'm told it was just an escape, a fantasy, but nothing physical. 2 days later, he spills the beans to his wife. They've been kissing since August. They had sex numerous times, at least 2 to 3. It all made sense now. She would go run errands during nights she knew the wife would be at work, and either I would be home or she would hire a sitter and she would go over there. The first night she went over, I had a bad feeling because she turned Find Your Friends off and hired a sitter before I got home from work. I asked her the next day and she said, "No, I went to my friend's house. See, here's the picture I took with her." But this was definitely the first night she went to his house to sleep with him. She made sure to take a picture as an alibi. My wife still didn't tell me about this. We went to couples therapy. She explained the pictures and made a point that nothing physical happened. And then I came out with what I knew. She was ashamed. However, the next day she went to his work to try to talk to him to get closure and tell him sorry. He sped away and she followed him for a bit, then turned around and called me. But how can I be sure that's what she wanted? How do I know she didn't go to see if there was something left with him and he wasn't just ignoring her because of what his wife made him do? Now she says she's sorry. She's crushed by what she did too and can't think of anything else. We had a long talk about what this means, and I think we both know this is heading for divorce. I'm not ever going to get past this, I don't think. I won't be able to trust her again. She's cordial with me and says she isn't ready to rush into divorce. Gives me hugs when she leaves, says I love you, small kisses, but I am now ready. I've been in hell for 6 months and she's just starting, but I can't keep going on like this. I'm trying to make it through the holidays for the kids, but then I really want to move forward. I guess I'm looking for some insight into what she might be going through, and I'm asking how to proceed, tomorrow and the future. The legal stuff I can work out. I've talked to a lawyer, but timing is tough. Do I tell her tomorrow I want to start the process of in-home separation? We have a guest bedroom. Do I separate our accounts? Everything is joint right now, but I make the majority of the money and everything's going to be split 50-50 in the end. So would this just make things acrimonious? Do I continue to just hold until our next couples session in January after the holidays? She deserves nothing from you. She's total trash, a cheater, and a manipulator. First of all, stop couples therapy. This is not an issue about the couple. It's about the wife's issues. You don't need fixing. Only your wife does. She can go to counseling and fix herself. Stop sleeping together. Let her move into the guest room. You stay put. You're the one who's innocent here, and that's important. You need to stay in control of the situation and prevent her from gaining any power over it. Speak to a lawyer immediately. Getting a divorce is a competition. Who can reach the lawyer first? You must get ahead of her, or she'll likely take the children, the house, the car, and your savings. There's no need to give her any of those things. The right lawyer would make all the difference. This woman appears to have had a life that was too easy. She became bored and betrayed the man who provided her with her comfortable life. It seems she's too dumb to understand the consequences of her actions, so you better show her. Above all else, take care of yourself and the children. Prioritize your own well-being. Get rid of her like cancer.